London, 1888. A city of empire, cloaked in shadow. In the heart of Whitechapel, something begins that will haunt humanity for over a century. No cameras, no fingerprints, no DNA. Only fog, fear, and a killer who disappeared into legend. They called him Jack the Ripper, a name that still sends chills down spines today. But here's what most don't know. Nearly everything you've heard is myth. Tonight, we strip away the sensationalism. We follow only the evidence. We walk the actual streets. And we ask the question that refuses to die. Who was Jack the Ripper? Really? To understand Jack, you must first understand Whitechapel. This wasn't just poverty. It was desperation at scale. 12,000 people crammed into every square mile. Families sleeping 10 to a room. Women forced onto streets just to afford a bed for the night. Police records reveal shocking truth. Violence here was routine. Assaults happened daily. Deaths weekly. But what made Whitechapel perfect for a predator wasn't just the poverty. It was the chaos. Constant movement, unfamiliar faces, dark corners everywhere. In these streets, a killer could hunt and vanish like smoke. The environment didn't create Jack, it protected him. August 31st, 1888, 3:40 a.m. A carter named Charles Cross walks down Buck's Row and sees what he thinks is a tarpaulin. It's not. Mary Ann Nichols, age 43, lies dead, her throat cut with such force it nearly decapitates. But here's what disturbs investigators. Additional wounds to the abdomen. Deliberate, precise. The police surgeon notes something chilling. These weren't made in frenzy. They required time, confidence. In the heart of a busy district, someone performed this act and walked away unseen. This isn't just murder. This is something the Victorian mind struggles to comprehend. And it's only beginning. 8 days later, Annie Chapman is found in Hanbury Street, throat severed, abdominal mutilations. But this time, something's taken. Organs removed with what doctors call anatomical knowledge. Police now face a terrifying reality. This isn't random. The locations form a cluster. The timing suggests someone who knows when streets empty. The methodology shows disturbing consistency. Detective Inspector Frederick Aberline begins connecting cases others dismissed as unrelated. He sees what the public doesn't yet understand. They're hunting someone who's learning, adapting. Someone who kills not in passion, but with purpose. The question haunting Aberline becomes, what is that purpose? The press smells blood, and they feed. Leather apron terror stalks East End. Headlines scream across London. Newspapers compete for the most sensational story. Facts become secondary to fear. Sales skyrocket. The police face impossible pressure. Solve this immediately or face public fury. But here's what the media frenzy actually does. It contaminates everything. Witnesses change stories to match headlines. Rumors become facts. Police receive hundreds of false tips daily. The real investigation drowns in noise. And somewhere in Whitechapel, the killer reads these papers. And perhaps, for the first time, realizes he's not just a murderer. He's becoming infamous. September 27th, a letter arrives at the Central News Agency. Dear boss, I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them. It's signed Jack the Ripper, the first time this name appears anywhere. The public devours it. But investigators immediately question authenticity. The handwriting shows education. The tone seems theatrical. Real killers rarely announce themselves. Most experts believe it's a journalist hoax, a way to sell more papers. Yet it works. The name sticks. Jack the Ripper becomes immortal. But here's the deeper question. If the letters are fake, why do they predict details not yet public? Some secrets remain unsolved. September 30th, 1888. One night, 2 victims. Elizabeth Stride is found at 1 a.m. in Dutfield's yard, throat cut, but nothing more. 45 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes is discovered in Mitre Square. This time, the mutilations are extensive. Organs removed, face disfigured. Investigators realize something chilling. He was interrupted with Stride, so he found another victim immediately. This reveals terrifying confidence. No panic, no flight, just continuation. The speed haunts detectives. The geographical knowledge disturbs them. This isn't opportunistic violence. This is someone who owns these streets, who moves through darkness like he belongs there, because perhaps he does. Scotland Yard faces an impossible task. Their tools? Notebooks, sketches, witness interviews. That's it. No fingerprint database. The technology exists but isn't standardized. No blood typing. That's decades away. No photograph archives of criminals. No forensic pathology department. Inspector Aberline commands only a handful of detectives for an area housing thousands. They work by candlelight, travel by foot, communicate by telegram. They're 19th century investigators hunting a killer who exploits 20th century anonymity. Every advantage belongs to Jack. The darkness, the crowds, the chaos. The system isn't broken. It simply doesn't exist yet. And he knows it. November 9th, 1888. Mary Jane Kelly, age 25. Found in her own room at 13 Miller's Court. This scene is different. This is private. Indoors. Time unlimited. The mutilations are so extensive, investigators can barely process what they're seeing. This isn't just murder anymore. This is transformation of a human being into something unrecognizable. Doctors work for hours documenting everything. Photographers capture the scene. It's the most thoroughly investigated case of the series. And then, nothing. No more canonical murders. Jack the Ripper simply stops. Or does he? The silence raises more questions than the violence ever did. Why stop now? The silence is deafening. Weeks pass. Months. No more murders matching the pattern. Police wait for the next victim who never comes. Did Jack die? Was he institutionalized? Imprisoned for something else? Did he leave London? Each theory has advocates. None have proof. What we know, the Ripper murders, 5 canonical cases, all occur within 10 weeks. Then nothing. But Whitechapel's violence continues. Other murders happen. Other women die. It's just that none bear his specific signature. The absence of evidence becomes its own mystery. Sometimes the most haunting question isn't who committed a crime, but why they stopped, and where they went. Over 100 suspects, investigated then, proposed since. Let's examine the real contenders. First, Aaron Kosminski, Polish immigrant, institutionalized in 1891 for violent delusions. Some DNA analysis in 2014 claimed to link him, but those findings were later disputed. Second, Montague John Druitt, a teacher found drowned in the Thames shortly after the murders stopped. Timing seems significant, until you realize dozens of men died that winter. Third, Dr. Francis Tumblety, American charlatan who fled London during the investigation. Suspicious? Yes. Proof? None. The problem with Ripper suspects isn't too few, it's too many. And no evidence eliminating any of them. Did Jack have surgical training? Victorian doctors thought so. Modern forensic pathologists disagree. The original autopsy reports describe anatomical knowledge. But what does that actually mean? A surgeon? Or a butcher who worked with animal carcasses daily? Perhaps a slaughterhouse worker? Whitechapel had dozens. The wounds show familiarity with internal organs, but not precision. Several cuts were hesitant, exploratory. This suggests someone who knew anatomy existed, but not exactly where everything was. Think about it. in near darkness, in minutes, under stress. No trained surgeon would work that way. The doctor theory sounds sophisticated, but the evidence suggests someone far more ordinary and more terrifying. The royal conspiracy, the Freemason cover-up, the theory that Queen Victoria's physician killed to protect a royal secret. It's dramatic, it's been in movies, and it's almost certainly fiction. Here's why. Zero contemporary evidence. The theory first appeared in the 1970s, nearly a century later. It relies on supposed deathbed confessions with no verification. It requires dozens of people keeping perfect silence forever. And it assumes the most powerful empire on Earth needed elaborate murders, when they could simply make problems disappear legally. Conspiracy theories thrive because they provide satisfying answers. But investigation requires evidence, and for the royal theory, there is none. Jack the Ripper wasn't a criminal mastermind. He was simply operating in a system that couldn't catch him. Victorian police had no central database, no way to track movements between jurisdictions, no forensic science. Witnesses gave contradictory descriptions. Some said tall, others short. Some said young, others old. In Whitechapel's darkness, human memory proved worthless. The killer needed only basic precautions. Avoid being seen clearly. Don't keep trophies the police can find. And most importantly, be someone who naturally belongs in these streets at night. A local resident. A night worker. Someone invisible because they were familiar. The perfect camouflage. Normalcy. Remember those letters signed Jack the Ripper? Modern analysis reveals something fascinating. They're written in different hands, different inks, different paper. At least 3 separate people wrote letters claiming to be Jack. The most famous, Dear Boss, likely came from a journalist. How do we know? It uses press terminology. It predicts details that were actually already published in earlier editions. The From Hell letter, sent with a human kidney? Possibly authentic. Possibly a medical student's prank. We'll never know for certain. But here's what we do know. The name Jack the Ripper is probably the only thing we're sure he never called himself. 2014. Headlines scream, Ripper identified by DNA. A shawl supposedly from a crime scene, tested with modern technology, allegedly links Aaron Kosminski to the murders. Case closed? Not quite. The problems. The shawl's chain of custody is questionable. It was never logged as official evidence. The DNA testing methodology faced immediate scientific criticism. The sample could have been contaminated by hundreds of handlers over 126 years. And here's the deeper issue. Even if the DNA is authentic, it only proves Kosminski touched fabric owned by a victim, not that he killed her. Science offers incredible tools, but even DNA needs context, and context we don't have. Here's something most documentaries ignore. After the Canonical 5, murders continued. Some bore similarities to Ripper cases. Were they Jack or copycats inspired by headlines? Victorian police faced this nightmare. Every murder now viewed through the Ripper lens. Actual evidence became secondary to pattern matching. If a woman's throat was cut in Whitechapel, papers screamed, "Ripper strikes again!" Even when methods differed completely. This creates an impossible situation. We can't know which later murders might be connected, because we can't even confirm the first 5 were by one person. Pattern recognition is useful, until it becomes prison, and we're still locked inside. Strip away myth, remove speculation. What remains? 5 murders, probably connected. Occurred in a 10-week span, ended abruptly. Perpetrator demonstrated knowledge of Whitechapel's geography, ability to move unnoticed at night, enough anatomical awareness to target specific areas, and no apparent motive beyond the acts themselves. He was likely local or worked locally. Male based on witness accounts, between 25 and 40 years old, strong enough to overpower victims quickly. He definitely was never caught, never officially identified, and generated more theories than evidence. Everything else, educated guesses. The truth isn't dramatic, it's frustratingly simple. We don't know. We never did. We likely never will. Jack the Ripper killed 5 women. 5. Yet his cultural impact dwarfs serial killers with far higher body counts. Why? Because he was first. The first media-saturated serial murder case. The first where newspapers, telegraph, and public hysteria merged into something unprecedented. He didn't just kill victims, he killed Victorian certainty. The idea that civilization had conquered darkness, that progress meant safety. Whitechapel revealed ugly truth. Modernity's facade was thin. Underneath, same violence, same vulnerability, same fear. Every serial killer since exists in Jack's shadow. Every unsolved case echoes his. Not because he was exceptional, but because he exposed how powerless we remain against focused evil. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, Mary Jane Kelly. 5 women. 5 lives reduced to evidence, to case numbers, to footnotes in someone else's legend. We know their death wounds better than their living dreams. We study how they died, but rarely ask how they lived. They were daughters. Some were mothers. They survived poverty, abuse, and a society that offered them almost nothing. Then they were murdered. And then they were forgotten, erased by the infamy of their killer. This might be Jack's final victory. Even in death, he remains central, and they remain peripheral. Perhaps it's time we change that. A century and 37 years later, we're still here. Still investigating, still theorizing, still obsessed. Why? Because Jack the Ripper represents our deepest fears. The stranger in darkness, the violence without warning, the question without answer. But there's something else, something we rarely admit. Unsolved mysteries let us participate. We can still solve Jack because there's no definitive answer to contradict us. Everyone's theory remains possible. That's intoxicating. It transforms passive observers into active investigators. But perhaps our obsession reveals more about us than about him. What we fear, what fascinates us, and why we need monsters to have names, even when we never learned them. Modern criminal profilers looking backward create psychological profiles. But here's the problem. Profiling requires patterns from solved cases. In 1888, nobody had that data. Today's analysis suggests organized offender, escalating confidence, geographical comfort zone, possible trigger event before the series began. But these profiles fit thousands of men. The specificity we crave doesn't exist. What we can say, this was someone who compartmentalized, who functioned normally enough to avoid suspicion, who lived dual existence, ordinary by day, monstrous at night. The scariest part? That duality isn't rare, it's disturbingly common. Most monsters don't look like monsters. They look like everyone else. That's how they survive. Jack the Ripper changed law enforcement forever. The investigation's failures exposed critical gaps. No fingerprint databases, no coordinated multi-jurisdictional cooperation, no forensic pathology standards, no criminal profiling, no systematic evidence preservation. Within 2 decades, Britain revolutionized policing. Fingerprinting became standard by 1901. Photography integrated into investigations. Autopsy procedures formalized. Criminal records centralized. The Metropolitan Police created specialized detective divisions. Other countries watched and learned. In dark irony, 5 unsolved murders in Whitechapel forced the creation of systems that might have caught their killer. Progress built on failure. Modern crime-solving exists partly because Victorian London couldn't solve Jack. Sometimes tragedy teaches what success never could. Every few years, someone claims they've solved it. New evidence, new analysis, new certainty. And every time, the certainty fades. Because here's what we're really chasing: closure, certainty, the comfort of answers. But Jack the Ripper offers none of those things. The case remains open at Scotland Yard. Technically, it always will be. No statute of limitations on murder. No expiration date on truth. Perhaps the real lesson isn't about Jack at all. It's about us. About how we respond when faced with the unknowable. Do we accept mystery? Or do we construct certainty from wishes? The question remains. So does he. Jack the Ripper was never proven. Never named. Never stopped. At least officially. What remains isn't just mystery. It's mirror. Reflecting what terrifies us most. That evil can be ordinary. That violence can be invisible. That some questions have no answers. 5 women died in Whitechapel. 1 killer disappeared into history. And we remain here, still searching, still wondering, still unable to let go. Perhaps that's the real horror. Not what happened in those dark alleys, but how little has changed, how easily it could happen again, how thin the line between civilization and chaos. The fog still hangs over Whitechapel, and some shadows never fade.